Welcome to Private Stories, where people discover who they really are. Adam Walker returned from a long business trip on a late evening flight. His shoulders still ached from hours spent in a cramped airplane seat, yet the thought of seeing his family softened the fatigue. These moments of coming home always felt special to him. Usually when he opened the door, their house in Denver, Colorado filled instantly with life. Laura would be in the kitchen cooking his favorite dinner. Emma would rush out of her room holding a tablet or school notebook, ready to tell a dozen stories at once. Little Luke would run straight toward him and hug him with such force that Adam always laughed. Home had always been his place of strength. The place where he felt needed. The place where he felt loved. But tonight something felt wrong the moment he stepped inside. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The hallway lights were dim and the kitchen lamp glowed alone like a lonely beacon. There was no smell of dinner. No voices. No laughter. Adam slowly placed his suitcase near the door and listened. Somewhere deeper inside the house he heard a faint rustle. Then a quiet voice. "Dad." Emma stood in the doorway of her room clutching a tablet to her chest. Her blonde hair fell messily across her shoulders and her eyes looked strangely tense. "Hey kiddo." Adam smiled and crouched down, opening his arms. Usually Emma would run into them immediately, but tonight she hesitated. She walked slowly toward him and allowed the hug, but her body felt stiff. "Why so quiet tonight? Where is Mom?" Emma lowered her eyes, staring at the pattern on the carpet, as if studying it very carefully. "Mom is not home." She said it slowly. Adam frowned. That was unusual. Laura almost never left the kids alone in the evening, especially when he was returning from a trip. She always found 1,000 excuses to stay home on those days. Where did she go? Emma shrugged. To a friend. Which friend? Emma bit her lip. Her shoulders tensed again. Adam noticed the nervous movement immediately. He worked as a software engineer and years of analytical thinking had trained him to notice small details. Emma was hiding something. "Did you eat dinner?" he asked gently while standing up and walking toward the kitchen. "Yeah." She answered quietly. Then she added something that made Adam stop mid-step. "Dad, please do not be mad." A cold sensation slid down his spine. Mad about what? Emma hesitated. Her fingers tightened around the tablet. Then suddenly she spoke quickly, as if afraid she might lose the courage. "I think Mom has another man." The words hit Adam like boiling water. For a moment he froze. Maybe he had misheard. Maybe she meant something else. "What did you say?" His voice sounded unfamiliar even to himself. Emma stepped back slightly. Her eyes filled with fear. "I saw her with a man." She spoke faster now, like she was afraid to stop. "He came in a black SUV. He picked her up in the yard. They talked and laughed." Adam felt pressure growing inside his chest. His hands slowly curled into fists. His heartbeat became loud in the silent kitchen. "When did this happen?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "A few times." Emma whispered. "Last night too. I saw from my window." Adam stood there without moving. For years he believed his life was stable. Predictable. A normal marriage. Normal problems. Bills. Arguments about work. Arguments about parenting. But never once had he doubted Laura's loyalty. Now something inside that foundation began to crack. He walked to the refrigerator and opened it mechanically. Inside there was almost nothing. An empty yogurt container. 2 jars of baby food Luke no longer even liked. And a bottle of red wine. Adam stared at the bottle. Laura almost never drank except on holidays. "Are you sure you did not mistake someone?" he asked without turning. Emma did not answer immediately. Then he heard her soft whisper. "I am sorry, Dad." Adam closed the refrigerator slowly. When he turned around, he saw tears in her eyes. In that moment, he realized something painful. A 14-year-old girl had been carrying this secret alone. "Do not worry," he said more softly. "You did the right thing telling me. Everything will be okay." He walked to her and hugged her again. But while he held his daughter, his mind was already working. Cold. Precise. searching for answers, because Adam Walker knew one thing. If the truth existed, he would find it. The next morning Adam woke up before sunrise. He had barely slept. The entire night his thoughts spun like a storm. But one idea remained clear. He needed proof. He refused to destroy his family based only on suspicion. Emma left for school quietly that morning. Adam sat alone at the kitchen table drinking black coffee. The bitter taste matched the mood inside him. Black SUV. That detail repeated in his mind. If such a car had come to their house, there was a chance the security cameras in the courtyard captured it. Adam stood up suddenly. Decision made. The property management office was located in the building next door. Adam had dealt with them before when installing a home alarm system. Within 20 minutes, he was sitting in a small office beside a tired-looking technician. 2 expensive cans of imported coffee helped speed the conversation. The cameras did not record sound, but the video archive from the last week was available. Adam leaned forward, studying the screen. Hours of ordinary footage. Neighbors walking dogs. Kids riding bikes. Delivery drivers. Nothing unusual. Until the 4th day. A black SUV slowly entered the courtyard late in the evening. Adam's heart skipped. The camera clearly showed Laura walking out of the building. She approached the vehicle. The passenger door opened. The driver remained in shadow, but it was obvious they knew each other well. Laura smiled. Then, before sitting down, she lightly touched the man's shoulder. The SUV drove away. Adam felt the air around him become heavy. He stared at the screen as if watching a stranger life. But he knew every detail. The way Laura tilted her head. The way she smiled. He had seen that smile thousands of times. Now it belonged to another man. And Adam finally understood. Something was terribly wrong. Adam left the management office carrying a copy of the video on a small flash drive. Outside, the cold Denver wind brushed across the empty courtyard. For a moment, he simply stood there staring at the place where the black SUV had been parked. The scene replayed again and again in his mind. Laura smiling, her hand touching the stranger's shoulder. The casual intimacy of that gesture. It was not the movement of a woman talking to a coworker. It was the movement of someone comfortable. Someone close. Adam slowly walked back home. Inside his head, a plan had already begun forming piece by piece. Laura would return from work around evening. Before that, he needed to know one thing. Who was the man in that car? The license plate had been visible on the camera. That detail was enough. Adam pulled out his phone and scrolled to a familiar contact. Victor Ramirez, an old friend from college who now worked in the Colorado State Highway Patrol. Victor answered on the second ring. Adam, man, I have not heard from you in months. Everything all right? Adam hesitated only for a second. I need a favor. Victor instantly heard something serious in his voice. What kind of favor? I need you to run a license plate. There was a short pause. Normally Victor would have asked many questions. But old friendships sometimes work without explanations. Text me the number. Adam sent it. 2 hours later Victor called back. His tone had changed. The car belongs to Daniel Carter. Mid-40s. Owns a logistics company. Lives in Boulder. Married. 2 kids. Adam closed his eyes for a moment. The name meant nothing to him. But the pieces were beginning to connect. Thanks, Vic. You okay, man? Victor asked carefully. Adam exhaled slowly. I do not know yet. He hung up and opened his laptop. The internet always held more answers than people expected. Within minutes, he found Daniel Carter social media profiles. Photos from business conferences, family vacations, birthday parties with his children. Daniel was tall, broad-shouldered, with light brown hair and confident gray eyes. He had the relaxed smile of a man used to getting what he wanted. Adam studied the photos carefully, trying to understand what this man had that he himself did not. But the answer never came. Around 6 in the evening, Adam heard the front door open. Laura stepped inside, removing her coat. Her long dark hair fell over her shoulders and the scent of expensive perfume filled the hallway. When she saw Adam standing in the kitchen, she paused. Surprise flashed across her face for just a second before the familiar warm smile appeared. "Oh, you are home already. How was your day?" Adam watched her carefully. The small movements, the way she shifted her weight from one foot to the other. Normal. Too normal. "Fine," he replied quietly. "How about you?" Laura walked toward the kitchen counter. "Also fine. Work was busy." Then she added casually, "Yesterday I went to see Melissa. Remember her?" Adam slowly placed his coffee cup on the table. Melissa. Interesting. Because Melissa never drove a black SUV. And she certainly was not a man. Adam looked directly into her eyes. "That is strange," he said calmly, "because the cameras in our courtyard show you getting into a black SUV with a man." For a fraction of a second, Laura's face lost color. The smile disappeared. "What?" She tried to laugh lightly. "What are you talking about?" Adam reached into his pocket and placed the flash drive on the table. "Watch it. Then tell me again that nothing is happening." Laura stared at the flash drive as if it were a weapon. Adam sat down quietly waiting. Seconds passed. Then a full minute. Finally she whispered, "Adam, it is not what you think." "Oh really?" His voice suddenly sharpened. "Because what I see is my wife sitting in another man's car smiling and touching him. And you tell me that means nothing." Laura looked away. Her fingers twisted nervously. "He is just a colleague," she said quickly. "He offered me a ride home. That is all." Adam nodded slowly. If someone had entered the room, they might have thought he believed her. But then he pushed the laptop toward her. The video started playing. The moment Laura saw the screen, her entire body stiffened. Adam's voice exploded for the first time. "Nothing. You call that nothing?" Laura stood up suddenly. "I can explain." "Explain what?" Adam shouted. "Explain why my daughter saw you meeting him several times. Explain why you lie about where you go." Laura turned pale. "Emma told you." Adam's breath became heavy. "Yes. And imagine how wonderful that must have been for a 14-year-old girl. To watch her mother sneak away with another man." Laura's eyes filled with tears. "Adam, please." He interrupted sharply. "No, I do not need explanations anymore. Everything is already clear." He grabbed his jacket and walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" Laura called after him. "To finish learning the truth." Adam replied coldly. The door slammed behind him. Outside, the night air felt icy. But inside, Adam's blood burned with adrenaline. The next step was obvious. If Daniel Carter existed, Adam Walker would meet him. Adam drove through the quiet night streets of Denver. The city lights reflected on the windshield like distant stars. Inside the car, his thoughts were sharp and cold. There was no panic anymore, only determination. Back at home, Laura was probably crying, maybe calling him, maybe trying to invent new excuses. But Adam had already crossed a line in his mind. Now he needed the entire truth. He returned home close to midnight. The house was dark. Laura was asleep in the bedroom or pretending to be. Adam did not check. Instead, he went straight to his office and opened his laptop again. The profile of Daniel Carter appeared on the screen. Photos, friends, business posts, vacation pictures. Adam studied every detail like an investigator assembling evidence. Then he noticed something interesting. Several photos included Daniel's wife. Her name was Rebecca Carter. Blonde hair, shoulder length. Sharp, intelligent eyes. Confident posture. From the captions, Adam learned she worked in corporate law. He found more information. Public business listings. Professional networking sites. Within 20 minutes, he had something even more useful. Her phone number. Adam leaned back in his chair. For a long moment, he simply stared at the number on the screen. Calling her would change everything. 2 families. 2 marriages. 2 lives. But then he remembered Emma's frightened face. And the hesitation disappeared. He dialed. 3 rings. Then a calm female voice answered. Hello. Good evening. Adam said slowly. Is this Rebecca Carter? Yes. Who is this? My name is Adam Walker. We do not know each other, but I believe we share a problem. There was silence on the other end. Then her voice became cautious. What kind of problem? Adam spoke clearly. Your husband Daniel is having an affair with my wife Laura. Another long silence followed. This one heavier. Adam could hear her breathing change. Do you have proof? She asked finally. Yes. Adam replied. And you deserve to see it. Several seconds passed. Then Rebecca spoke again. Where can we meet? Her voice was calm, but Adam sensed steel beneath it. They agreed to meet the next morning at a quiet cafe in Boulder. Adam barely slept that night. When morning came, he left the house early. Laura was still in the bedroom. He did not say goodbye. The cafe smelled of fresh coffee and warm pastries. Rebecca Carter was already sitting at a table near the window. She wore a dark blue coat and elegant glasses. Her posture was straight, controlled, but her eyes looked tired. Adam approached. She studied him carefully. You must be Adam. Yes. He sat down and placed his laptop on the table. Without saying anything else, he played the video. Rebecca watched silently. Her face did not change. But Adam noticed how tightly her fingers gripped the edge of the table. When the video ended, she slowly closed the laptop. Thank you for showing me, she said quietly. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes remained strong. I suspected something, but suspicion and proof are very different things. Adam nodded. I thought you deserved to know. Rebecca exhaled slowly. Yes, I did. Then she looked at Adam again. What are you going to do now? Adam answered honestly. I do not know yet, but I know one thing. He should not think he can destroy two families and walk away untouched. Rebecca's expression hardened. Believe me, she said coldly. He will regret it. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Rebecca stood. Thank you again, Adam. This conversation was necessary. She extended her hand. He shook it. Good luck, Adam said. Rebecca gave a small bitter smile. Luck has nothing to do with it anymore. She left the cafe. Adam remained seated for several minutes, staring at the empty chair. He felt no guilt, only a strange calm, because the truth was now impossible to hide. When Adam returned home that evening, Laura was waiting in the hallway. Her eyes were red, her makeup slightly smeared. The moment she saw him, she noticed the new locks on the door, and the two large suitcases standing beside the wall. Her face went pale. Adam, what is this? Her voice trembled. It means you do not live here anymore. Adam answered calmly. Laura stared at him as if he had spoken another language. You cannot do this. This is my house too. Adam shook his head. No, it was our home, until you chose someone else. Her voice rose in panic. You misunderstood everything. Adam laughed bitterly. Did I? I spoke with Daniel's wife today. Laura's eyes widened in horror. You did what? Adam stepped closer. Yes, because she deserved the truth. Just like I did. Laura opened her mouth, but no words came. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Adam's voice became cold. Your bags are packed. The keys no longer work. You can go stay with Daniel. Laura stood frozen. For several seconds she could not move. Then she whispered, Adam, please. He interrupted immediately. No, there is no please anymore. He opened the door, and without another word he closed it in front of her. For Adam Walker, that moment became the first step into a completely new life. A life where betrayal no longer had a place. Laura stood in the hallway for several seconds after the door closed. The silence felt heavy and unreal. Two suitcases rested beside the wall like quiet witnesses of her collapse. For a moment she thought Adam would open the door again, that he would call her name, that he would say it was all a terrible mistake. But nothing happened. The hallway remained cold and empty. Slowly Laura picked up the suitcases and walked down the stairs. Outside, the autumn wind moved dry leaves across the pavement. Her car was parked near the sidewalk. She placed the luggage inside and sat behind the wheel. Her hands trembled. For the first time, she understood that the life she had always considered stable was gone. Completely gone. An hour later, she unlocked the door of a small apartment she once used years ago when she first moved to Denver after college. The apartment was narrow and poorly lit. The wallpaper had started to peel in several corners. A faint smell of old dust hung in the air. Laura dropped her suitcases in the middle of the room and slowly sat on the couch. For a few seconds she stared at the empty wall. Then the tears came. They came violently and uncontrollably. Her shoulders shook as she covered her face with both hands. Adam had always been there. Through every difficult moment. Through every career change. Through every argument. And now he had closed the door without hesitation. She tried to justify herself inside her own mind. It was just a mistake. Just a little flirtation. Just a moment of weakness. But even in her own thoughts, the excuses sounded hollow. Deep down, she understood something painful. She had gambled her entire life for something meaningless. The next morning, Laura woke up with swollen eyes and a heavy head. The small apartment looked even more depressing in daylight. Her phone lay on the table. For a long time she stared at it. Then she dialed Adam's number. The call went unanswered. She tried again. Still nothing. Finally she sent a message. Adam, please give me a chance to explain. You misunderstood everything. I love you and the kids. Please let us talk. She waited. Minutes passed. Then hours. No response. That evening Laura drove to the house. Her heart pounded as she stood in front of the door. The new lock felt like a symbol of everything she had lost. She pressed the doorbell. Footsteps approached. The door opened. Adam looked at her with calm, distant eyes. Not angry. Not emotional. Just finished. Please, Laura whispered. Let me explain. I made a mistake. Adam crossed his arms. How exactly do you plan to fix a betrayal that our daughter discovered before I did? The words hit her like a slap. She stepped back slightly but forced herself to continue. I still love you, Adam. It was just weakness. He shook his head slowly. Laura, you had a home. You had a family. You decided to destroy it. Her voice rose in desperation. People make mistakes. Why cannot you forgive me? Adam's expression hardened. Because some mistakes change everything. Then he quietly closed the door again. Laura stood alone in the silent corridor. For the first time she truly understood. There was no way back. Meanwhile, Adam's life slowly began finding a new rhythm. The first weeks were difficult. The house felt different. Emma became quieter, spending more time studying in her room. Little Luke often asked the same question. Dad, when will Mom come home? Adam always answered gently. Mom is busy right now. But you can talk to her whenever you want. He never wanted the children to feel forced to choose sides. During this time, one person became an unexpected pillar of support. Sophia Miller. She had been helping the family for years, taking care of Luke and occasionally assisting with household tasks. Sophia had warm auburn hair, soft brown eyes, and a calm voice that always seemed to bring peace into the room. She helped Emma with homework, cooked dinner when Adam returned late from work, and somehow managed to make the house feel less empty. One evening after the children had gone to bed, Adam and Sophia sat in the kitchen drinking tea. Soft streetlights glowed through the window. Sophia studied him quietly. You look exhausted, Adam. He gave a tired smile. It has been a complicated month. She nodded. You handled it better than most people would. Adam looked at her over the edge of his cup. Without you, I am not sure we would have managed. Sophia lowered her eyes slightly. You always managed things. Even before. I used to watch how Laura treated you sometimes. Adam raised an eyebrow. And what did you think? Sophia hesitated. I thought you deserved someone who appreciated you more. Adam laughed softly, but there was sadness in it. Maybe I just wanted to believe everything would work out. He paused for a moment, then added quietly, "But lately I realized life might still have something better waiting." Sophia's cheeks turned slightly red. She looked away toward the window. At that moment Luke's voice came sleepily from the living room. "Dad, will Sophia live with us forever?" Both adults laughed softly. Adam stood up and carried the sleepy boy to bed. But the question remained in his mind. Because day by day Sophia was no longer just helping the family. She was slowly becoming part of it. And Adam Walker was beginning to realize something surprising. After betrayal and heartbreak, life could still offer warmth, and maybe even love again. Weeks slowly turned into months. Life inside Adam Walker house began to settle into a new rhythm. At first everything felt fragile, as if the smallest change could break the fragile balance they had built. But gradually the days became calmer. Mornings started with the smell of fresh coffee and toasted bread. Emma sat at the table finishing homework while Luke talked endlessly about school adventures. And Sophia moved around the kitchen with natural ease, as if she had always belonged there. Her warm auburn hair was usually tied loosely behind her head, and soft sunlight from the window often caught golden highlights in it. She never tried to replace anyone. She simply cared. Quietly, patiently, and that was exactly what the family needed. Adam noticed how Emma slowly began to open up again. The girl who once locked herself in her room now sometimes stayed at the table long after dinner just talking. Sometimes about school. Sometimes about music. Sometimes about things that had nothing to do with anything important. But Adam knew these conversations meant everything. One evening during dinner Emma suddenly said something that surprised them all. "You know, the house feels warmer lately." Adam looked up. "What do you mean?" Emma glanced at Sophia with a shy smile. "Since Aunt Sophia spends more time here. Feels like a real home again." Sophia blushed slightly and looked down at her plate. Adam felt something shift quietly inside his chest. A feeling he had not allowed himself to acknowledge yet. Gratitude. And something deeper. Several weeks later Emma approached Sophia while they were baking cookies together in the kitchen. Flour covered the counter and the sweet smell of vanilla filled the room. "Sophia," Emma said carefully, "do you love my dad?" Sophia froze for a second. The question caught her completely off guard. "I think I do," she admitted softly. "Then why do not you tell him?" Emma asked with teenage directness. Sophia smiled nervously. "Because life is not always that simple." But Emma only grinned quietly, as if she had already decided something in her mind. Meanwhile Laura's life was moving in the opposite direction. After leaving Adam's house everything had begun falling apart. 3 weeks after the separation she lost her job. Officially the company called it a voluntary resignation. In reality they wanted to avoid the scandal that had already started spreading among co-workers. Now she worked temporary shifts at a small clothing repair shop. The pay was modest, the hours long, but the routine at least kept her mind occupied. Her once elegant appearance had changed too. The bright confidence in her green eyes faded. Dark circles formed beneath them, and the stylish dresses she once loved now hung forgotten in the closet. Sometimes she opened old photo albums, pictures from family vacations, birthdays, Christmas mornings. In every photo Adam stood beside her smiling, Emma laughing, Luke holding toys. Each image felt like a small knife pressing into her chest. She tried calling Emma several times. The conversations were short and awkward. Luke sometimes talked to her longer, but his voice sounded distant, as if he was already adapting to a life without her. One night Laura called Sophia. Her voice was slightly unsteady. "Sophia, please talk to Adam. Maybe he will listen to you." Sophia paused before answering. "Laura, if you truly want to repair something with the children, start slowly. No excuses, no drama. Just be present for them." Laura hung up without replying. Sophia's calm voice only reminded her how deeply she had fallen. Months later something happened that shocked Laura even more. One evening there was a knock on her apartment door. When she opened it she saw Daniel Carter. He looked far worse than before. wrinkled shirt, unshaven face. The smell of alcohol lingered around him. "What are you doing here?" Laura asked coldly. "I wanted to talk," Daniel said uncertainly. They sat at the small kitchen table in silence. Finally he spoke. Everything collapsed. Rebecca filed for divorce. I lost half my business. Laura stared at him without emotion. You disappeared when things became difficult. Daniel lowered his eyes. I had my own problems. Laura suddenly laughed bitterly. You ruined my life, Daniel. Do you understand that? He shook his head slowly. I did not force you. Those words became the final spark. Laura grabbed an empty bottle from the table and threw it against the wall. Glass exploded across the floor. Get out, she screamed. Get out of my life. Daniel left quickly, leaving her alone again. The next morning, a neighbor found Laura unconscious on the floor after hearing loud noises during the night. The ambulance arrived quickly. Doctors later confirmed severe alcohol poisoning. When Laura woke up in the hospital room, she saw someone standing near the bed. Adam. His expression was calm but distant. Why are you here? She whispered weakly. Because despite everything, you are still the mother of my children. Adam replied. But listen carefully. This is the last time I help like this. If you do not change your life, I will not be able to help again. Laura turned her head toward the wall. Tears slowly rolled down her cheeks. For the first time, she truly understood how far she had fallen. After leaving the hospital, she began trying to rebuild her life. Step by step, she threw away the bottles, started therapy, tried to regain control over her routine. It was painful, slow, and uncertain, but somewhere deep inside she understood. If she ever wanted even a small place in her children's lives again, she had to become someone different. Meanwhile, Adam's life continued moving forward. Sophia's presence in the house became natural, comfortable, and one quiet evening after the children had fallen asleep, they sat together on the kitchen sofa. Adam looked at her for a long moment. Sophia, he said softly, I never thought after everything that happened I could feel peace again. She smiled gently. You became stronger, Adam. He shook his head slightly. No, we became stronger. He slowly took her hand. And in that simple moment, both of them understood. The future no longer belonged to the past. Years passed quietly after those turbulent months. Time has a strange ability to soften even the deepest wounds. The pain that once filled Adam Walker's life slowly faded, leaving behind something calmer, something wiser. The house in Denver changed over the years. The walls became covered with family photographs. The smell of homemade pastries often drifted through the rooms, and laughter once again lived in every corner. Sophia had gradually become the heart of the home. Her gentle presence filled the spaces where silence once lingered. Her auburn hair now showed a few golden strands of sunlight whenever she stood near the kitchen window, and her warm brown eyes always carried the same quiet kindness that had first helped the family heal. Emma had grown into a confident young woman. Her blonde hair now fell elegantly over her shoulders, and her once shy smile had transformed into something strong and radiant. After years of dedication, she finished medical school and began working as a young doctor. Luke had grown into a tall, energetic teenager, still curious, still asking endless questions. But now he often stood beside his father working on small projects in the garage or talking about future dreams. For Adam, those simple moments meant everything, because he knew how easily life could have turned out differently. Today, however, was a special day. The large hall of a beautiful wedding venue in Aspen, Colorado was decorated with white flowers and warm lights. Guests filled the room chatting excitedly, while soft music floated through the air. Emma was getting married. Adam stood in front of a mirror adjusting his tie. For a moment, he simply stared at his reflection. It felt impossible that so many years had passed. Just yesterday, Emma seemed like the shy 14-year-old girl standing in the doorway holding a tablet. Dad, a gentle voice said behind him. Adam turned. Sophia stood in the doorway wearing an elegant beige dress. Her hair was styled softly and her eyes glowed with warmth. "You look very handsome today," she said, smiling. Adam chuckled quietly. "Without you, I would probably still be trying to figure out how to tie this." Sophia walked closer and lightly touched his arm. "You always manage things, Adam." He looked at her with deep affection. "Not always, but you helped me learn how." Before either of them could say more, Luke burst into the room. "Dad, they are ready." The ceremony began soon after. Emma walked down the aisle in a beautiful white dress. Her fiancé Daniel Brooks held her hand with visible love and respect. Adam watched them with quiet pride. When it was time for the father's speech, he stepped forward to the microphone. The room slowly became silent. "Today I look at my daughter and realize something," Adam began. "She has become a person stronger and kinder than I could ever have imagined. Emma, you have always been my inspiration, even during the hardest moments of life." He paused briefly. "Daniel," he turned toward the groom, "take care of her, love her, protect her, because she deserves a life filled with happiness." Applause filled the hall. Adam returned to his seat beside Sophia. She squeezed his hand gently. "You did perfectly," she whispered. But among the guests, someone else sat quietly in the last row. Laura. Time had changed her too. Her dark hair was shorter now, and her once confident posture had become more modest. Years of self-reflection had softened her sharp edges. She now worked as a designer in a small clothing studio. The work did not bring wealth, but it brought purpose. Emma had insisted that her mother be invited. Watching the ceremony, Laura felt both pride and pain. She understood that this life no longer belonged to her. But seeing her daughter happy was still a gift. After the ceremony, Emma walked toward her mother. "Mom, thank you for coming," Emma said, gently hugging her. Laura's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you for inviting me. You are trying to change." Emma added softly, "That means more to me than you think." Those simple words became a small light inside Laura's heart. Later that evening, guests danced and celebrated. Outside, the terrace was covered with soft winter snow and the stars glittered across the clear mountain sky. Adam and Sophia stepped outside for a moment of quiet. "Everything turned out beautifully," Sophia said. Adam nodded. "Yes, life is strange. Sometimes it breaks everything first, so something better can grow." He turned toward her and gently took both of her hands. "Sophia, there is something I should have said long ago." She looked at him quietly. Adam smiled softly. "You did not just help my family survive. You helped us live again. And I love you for that." Sophia's eyes shimmered with tears. "I love you too, Adam," she whispered. Then he leaned forward and kissed her gently under the cold winter sky. Inside the hall, laughter and music continued. Emma began her new life. Laura slowly rebuilt hers. Rebecca and the doctor she had later met had also found happiness. And Adam finally understood something important. Sometimes betrayal destroys a life, but sometimes it opens the door to a better one. A life built not on illusion, but on truth and love. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Visit our channel for interesting and intriguing stories.